Hi guys, welcome to my channel Lush Gardener. I hope you guys are fine and are safe. In today's video as well, we will be talking about stretching, but it's going to be a slightly different video. Now guys, ideally a succulent will start to stretch, as you might have heard this in my other videos as well. When there is not much light, the succulent will start to stretch. The succulent will start to stretch to a point where it tends to get the desired amount of light. But there is another reason as well the succulent will start to stretch. Now over here, as you can see, all of my succulents are very compact. They have that good amount of color, but of late it has been very cloudy, but still they tend to get indirect bright light for at least 9 to 10 hours throughout the day. Every day they tend to get at least the indirect bright light. But on a sunny day, they get a good amount of morning direct sunlight for 5 to 6 hours. But of late it has been raining, so there is not much of sun, but still you can see my succulents are very compact because they get a good amount of indirect bright light. Now there is another reason as well your succulents will stretch. A lot of people tend to say that my succulent does get a good amount of light, but still the succulent is stretching. Now this is going to be very common for people who tend to keep their succulents near the windowsill where there is a good amount of light. Let's say there is a good amount of bright light for let's say for 7 to 8 hours, but still the succulent will start to stretch. Now the reason behind this is the fertilizers. A lot of times I've seen people tend to use a lot of fertilizers or nutrients in the soil. Now remember guys, fertilizers or nutrients, if there is excess in the soil, it not only damages the succulent, it not only makes the succulent weaker, it also stretches the succulent, especially if there is not much of light. And windowsill is a place wherein you tend to keep your succulents. There is light, but it does not have a lot of intensity. Indirect bright light has a slightly less intensity as compared to morning direct sunlight. So I have seen a lot of people struggle with this. Now the reason behind this is when you tend to add fertilizers or when you tend to add nutrients in the soil, and if the light is not appropriate, that is when the succulent will start to stretch. Ideally, a succulent will start to stretch, let's say probably couple of centimeters in couple of days, because when it does not have a lot of light. But when there is fertilizers or nutrients added in the soil, the rate of stretching is going to be much faster as compared to a soil that does not have nutrients. The succulent will start stretching at a much faster rate. So you have to be extremely careful. If you know that you do not receive a good amount of light, avoid using a lot of fertilizers. Minimize the usage of fertilizers. If you feel that fertilizers are not important, please do not add any fertilizers, especially in a situation wherein you do not get a good amount of light. If you get a good amount of morning direct sunlight for 5 to 6 hours, using a little bit of fertilizers is okay. But when you are having only indirect bright light, and especially during the monsoon season or during winters when there is not much sun, the intensity of that indirect bright light is going to come down even more. So when there is excess amount of fertilizers, it is going to make your succulent stretch at a very faster rate. So this is something that I have noticed a lot of people have issues, especially succulents that are kept near the windowsill. They start to stretch a lot. They start moving towards where there is more light. So if you want to avoid this situation of excess stretching on your succulents, one is you have to give a good amount of light. Secondly, try and reduce the amount of nutrients. As I've said this earlier as well, even if you do not add fertilizers, it's absolutely fine. The succulent will still grow healthy. The succulent will still bloom. You might have seen my videos. A lot of my succulents also bloom. I do not add any fertilizers, but still they tend to bloom. So there is just a myth that you need to add fertilizers in order for the succulent to grow healthy. Now I'm not saying that by adding fertilizers you are going to kill the succulent. Probably a very little of it might help, but even if you do not add, it's absolutely fine. The succulent will still do quite well. So guys, I hope that this video was helpful to you. If it was, please hit the like button. If you're new to my channel, please consider subscribing to it. Until then, take care, stay safe and keep planting.